Welcome, friends. We have lost a Henley, probably to time zone changes or possibly to the fact that he was up until 5 a.m. playing Empyrean and then had to work all day. Hard to say which one it could be. Hate to guess.
Also a dragon arm with new art.
Oh, that's right. He's got that tattoo business.
Yeah.
It's St. Patrick's Day.
Forgetting time zone changes and spending too long playing Imperium are both things you can solve yourself.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Grimdark Dad here to... You guys haven't been there when James shows up for me and Spoon when it's like 6 a.m. our time, and James like, go to sleep, young man. You're on the same schedule as me. We just wanted one more weapons test.
Not angry, just disappointed.
That's the story of my life, drummer boy. I live in that category. Friends, we don't know where Henley is, so we're just going to do the talk show today. It's St. Patrick's Day, and yeah, no one's talking about it, but it is in fact St. Patrick's Day.
I should be having a Guinness instead of wine. Damn
yeah,
it.
I don't know what you're doing. I was going to say today is the day for people who drink casually to stop drinking casually and act like a moron for about 6 hours.
Yeah, so it was yesterday here for me, obviously, and I didn't realize until someone said it right into the day. And even when I had friends posting pictures of Guinness on Facebook,
Well, I guess people aren't going to bars.
Yeah, well, they were here because they can here.
Oh, James, that hurts.
I'll be right back.
All right, James is getting his stuff. Mr. Australia over there with their solved COVID problem. What are they, New Zealand? Meanwhile, for those of us on the North American continent or any of the American continents, we have St. Patrick's Day to console us. Indoors with all of the people we see every day and no one else.
With all the alcohol that I didn't buy because I'm already been home for a year. I don't need to like suddenly dive into a night of debauchery.
Lord Pretty Beard, thanks for the sub. Your name is so long it didn't show up. What's in that package?
Unboxing.
You don't have to tell us if you don't want to.
No, it's a Transformers Masterpiece Prowl, I suspect.
Gleema, thank you for your sub. Your name is small enough to actually show up.
31 months.
31 months. That's a long ass time.
There you go. Transformers Masterpiece Prowl. And I'm guessing that, yeah, it's missing the thing that tells you it's not a dodgy Chinese knockoff, so it's probably a dodgy Chinese knockoff. But at the price I paid for it, that's what I expected.
Well,
there's normally this little hologram on the bottom, which is missing on this one.
Damn,
Did you know, though? I think it was a few streams ago, I did a 6-month sub to AP Gaming Reel because it's like 15% off or something. You can do that. It's a bulk. You get a discount. So if you have $30 or whatever, $30 Canadian, then it's like 6 months of quality content. Do it up.
Is that Grimdark James sub?
Yep.
Everybody's just storing them up all at once. You can't even say I haven't been streaming because I have been streaming.
I haven't been watching. That's my problem. I've been watching on YouTube.
You're right. That's also my problem. I don't know what's happened on my YouTube channel, man. I lost like 20% viewership over the last 3 weeks. Maybe it's just been the disrupted stream schedule. I don't know. I thought Solaris Nights would lift me back up, but it didn't.
Also, YouTube has been having weird issues.
Oh, has it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I attributed it to people just going back to work and not spending all their time watching AP Gaming Reel.
That's also very true.
I honestly can't...
Like psychopaths.
Yeah. I honestly can't think of anything I've done in the last month that would piss people off more than what I would normally do. But if I did piss you off and you stopped watching, let me know.
If you...
Yeah, I had to go down to my parents' house to install a Wi-Fi and extender a couple of Fridays ago, and I left at like 3:30 after my last meeting, and there was a lot more traffic than I expected.
Yeah, people are heading back to work no matter what they're saying.
A lot of people are getting back to the office.
Next week I'm trying to get them their COVID jab, but Who knows? Delaware's been pretty on the ball, but we took a huge risk here. The governor was like, all right, we could vaccinate half of the doctors and nurses safely and then get them the second dose. But instead, we're going to vaccinate everybody and hope that we can get enough of the second dose in 2 weeks. And everyone's like, are you fucking insane? Are you you're going to bet on enough vaccine showing up? It worked. It did work, but that was, if the second half hadn't showed up, it would have been useless, right? It would have just been a massive waste of resources. A gigantic balls our government just tried to display. So stupid. Delaware normally has its shit together. I was very disappointed.
We're just a super low population province, so we're low on the list.
Yeah.
Hey, it worked, you know? Take the W.
Yeah, we had our first new case in 59 days the other day.
Okay, James, calm down. We were jealous of you when you were not here, okay?
It was an American who slipped to the immigration checkpoint.
No, it was a hotel quarantine worker, like a security guard at one of the quarantining hotels, who had actually already received the first vaccine jab as well.
Was he banging the people in there again?
No, that was Melbourne earlier
Okay.
that was late last year.
What?
No, but this guy apparently, like, along with being a security guard, also worked in an office and had been going to
I
work
see.
as well. So they've sort of got this whole contact tracing thing going on right now.
Yeah, earlier
That's
on in the year, there was like a security guard at a quarantine hotel that was sleeping around with the quarantinees.
Yep. In Melbourne, led to a big outbreak. So, but it's funny now because everyone's so on edge about it here that, like, there's one case and suddenly all these other states are shutting their borders to the state that I'm in because there was a case. Which I guess if you've got it under control, you don't want to have it go out of control again.
Yeah, especially if it's a variant. If you guys have variants over there.
Yeah. Well, when they shut the borders, they tend to sort of say, okay, from midnight tonight, you can't come into this state, which means that whenever they do that, there's always these like 6-hour-long lines of people queued up on the freeways trying to get into the state. So I've been planning a corporate event in another state with another company, and they're saying, hey, can we do it somewhere that's really close to the border, just in case while we're there they close the border, we can quickly rush back across.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's not very cyberpunk conversation though.
I know.
State line trebuchet.
I don't really know how to safely shift back into it. Well, Dave's here.
What is it? Hello.
Dave.
Just after I closed Roll20. All right.
I know. Yeah.
Why are you pinging me early? What's going on?
Time
We didn't
changed,
ping you
dude.
early. Time changed.
Okay.
We're live right now, so
That's it. Yeah. Yep.
we were just gonna have an hour-long convo while you weren't here. Just like a talk show meeting.
Okay.
How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, how you doing,
I'm
Dave?
doing okay.
Welcome to the talk show.
How's
Show
the
us the
tattoo?
new ink. The new ink. Show it off.
Oh, it's not really done yet, but
I
it's
see.
really itchy. I would
Was
say.
it Friday? Was the next session? Is that right?
On the 14th of April.
Oh, well, okay.
Ooh.
So it's like, okay, yeah, ages away. Sorry, I thought it was like coming up this week.
Yeah, no, it's got to heal. It's basically I got what do they call it? Laser removal on my old tattoos because they were too dark. Because you can kind of see them underneath there, sort of thing. So, like they're just lasered off to be lighter. Because normally when you get a laser removal, you have to do like
Multiple passes.
5 sessions.
Yeah.
So he just did the one, and it hurt a lot.
I gotta say, Dave, I love the fact that we're half an hour earlier than you're normally used to getting on, but you seem tighter somehow.
Yeah, I've been working really hard lately, to be honest with you. So it's definitely one of those things.
I'd like to tell a story about my experience with Dave last night. In
Okay.
Empyrean. So we all got on the big ship, our carrier ship, and I threw external passenger seats on the outside of the vessel on the deck. So now totally exposed to space, actually right next to the thruster block, and it's like 250 degrees Celsius. You can just sit right there and wait to get directly in your ship, because the ship won't move if all passengers aren't in a seat.
Oh yeah.
It's just the way of the developers, like hard locking, fast undocking. So for the first 2 hours of our mining operation, we got Dave pulling Overwatch security, flying around, making sure nobody comes for us. Then I was like, all right, well, wherever we go next, it's probably going to be pretty dangerous. And Dave's like, I got to take a work call. And I was like, don't worry, we'll be fine. We jump in.
Famous last words.
I know, it was so rough. So we jumped into a new system, and I was like, everything's fine, guys. Where is that giant asteroid that we're looking for on the scanner? And we found it, and I was like, why are there so many sensor contacts over there? Is this a joke? And then I noticed that literally every ship in the entire system was descending on it at the same time. And so here's Dave, our combat pilot, strapped into exterior space on the back of the ship, just typing in chat occasionally, like, hey, what's going on? As we're in like 3 running gun battles, the ship's shields are down, there's pieces missing off the back end, and Dave is still in his seat asking us to update him in chat. And I'm just like, my god, I can't believe he's still alive.
Dave walks in, I got pizza.
Both of the miners died. So we tried to hot undock and mine the asteroid, and during that time a bunch of enemy ships warped in, and we're like, hey, so we saw that you started mining, so we are gonna break away from the gun battle and immediately beeline towards you. And I was like, well, your guys' lives are worth less than the ship, I'm out of here. They got stuck in space, and the back of the ship, it's on fire. And I'm just like, is Dave still back there? I can't see. There's blocks missing under him.
Yeah, no, I was fine. I was just sitting there in my chair, just, you know.
And then at the
Breathing.
end of the night, we finally actually did get combat operations, where Dave and I did a bunch of passes on anti-air defense towers, and it was pretty sick.
So we're not playing today. That's the story now?
Yes. Glimo
Okay.
is sick.
Oh, sorry to hear that, man.
I mean, it's good sick. I got my second COVID shot, but I'm running a low grade fever, so
Congratulations.
thank you. But I'm definitely not gonna make it for a full 4-hour session.
That's the equivalent of like in the 80s, people high-fiving each other because they got HIV from that one girl. You know, like,
What?
hey, man, nice.
Arthur's, that was worth it just for Arthur's face when you said that.
What? Jesus.
You've seen those movies, right? Like
No.
like Nerds and other things like that.
I've never
where
seen
they make-
any of those movies.
where they make light of like STDs and shit. Come on now.
Nope.
Like, yeah. All right. Okay.
The only movies I've ever seen make light of STDs refer to syphilis as the French disease, and they're set in the 1600s.
Or the social disease.
Okay, so I guess that's
You've
kind
never
of like
seen an Adam Sandler movie from the 90s?
Exactly, like because that's basically like, what is American culture to someone who's not American growing up? You watch those fucking movies, like, oh, that must be American culture.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just not American enough, Dave. I was only born here and lived my entire life here.
Yeah,
In
well, I
multiple
mean,
U.S. states.
Did you bang any warm apple pies? Because apparently
No,
that's
I
like the,
absolutely. Not only did I not do that, I would not condone the practice of doing so. That's
Right.
fucking weird.
Two things that I always saw in American films, I always just figured were like made up for films that turned out to be real, were takeaway Chinese coming in little square containers.
Yeah.
And everybody
red Solo cups.
Everybody at parties drinking from red cups. Yep, that's right.
You guys didn't know that was real? We do that all the
just
time.
always
We love
always
that
assumed
shit.
that they were movieisms.
No, we love that
Yeah.
stuff.
The red Solo cup I got a lot of experience with in San Francisco. Like that was, I was like, okay.
Not only that, there's now like you can buy like super high end like hand blown red Solo cups.
Why?
With Supreme on
Artisanal.
I have to tell you, I really want to buy one right now.
God.
So I was going to ask before Dave jumped on. I wanted to throw a conversational Cyberpunk question out there to the whole group.
Oh, please do. Bring us back.
Since it's a talk show. I'd like to know where each of you sit on the Cyberpunk versus Shadowrun thing, because you mentioned Shadowrun in the most recent Cyberpunk game.
I believe it's Shadowrunner 7th edition, which is legally distinct.
but yet still highly derivative.
Shadowrun rules have always been inscrutable to me because they're very complicated, and each class is basically its own subsystem the GM has to learn in order to interact with it, and the player has to learn to interact with it.
Running in Cyberpunk.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the difference between an adept and a mystic adept is the same as the difference between a guy with a sword and a guy with a gun. Like, they play in totally different ways, even though ostensibly they are very similar. They're actually quite different. A person who works entirely through drones is going to interact with the world using different mechanics and with different role playing than a person who, you know, is a social face using magic to confound their enemies and enchant them. I'm not opposed to Shadowrun, and certainly I like the magic aspect to some extent, but for me, 2020 was always the first one I got to, and it was more grounded, slightly more realistic. And it didn't have a bad Will Smith movie to bring it down.
That movie was fun, dude. That movie
was
fun.
Is that actually a Shadowrun like movie, or just like people?
It
100%.
It's basically Shadowrun and everything but name.
Yep. It's got orcs, it's got low-end magic, it's got all that shit.
The elves are pieces of shit, and they live in the nice neighborhoods.
What did you play? Go ahead,
I will say the first Cyberpunk game I played was actually not either one of those. It was GURPS Cyberpunk.
Ooh, GURPS.
GURPS is the first game I played.
GURPS. If you can do everything in a system, you can do nothing.
That's powered by the apocalypse, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. I mean, Shadowrun for me was. I think Shadowrun in terms of like a thought activity sounds more interesting than Cyberpunk. You know, like what if Dungeons and Dragons was the future and the conglomerates were run by dragons? And it's like, yeah, all right,
Drummer Boy, President Dragon. I know you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't even know because like I haven't experienced with it. I played the video games.
Yeah.
I've never played Cyberpunk or the Shadowrun.
Dude,
thing.
do you
I'm
remember
sure you
that
watch Mirror
Xbox
Shades.
Live? Do you watch that Xbox Live game, Shadowrun game that they had, where it was like a
yeah, it was like it was just like a first-person shooter, like multiplayer arena.
Oh,
it was its big thing was like PC players and Xbox players could play together in the same arena, and I was like, oh, cool, man, that's
I know
awesome.
who would win.
Aim assist, bro. That's who would win.
keyboard and mouse versus a controller the size of your PC.
Wow. Damn.
It's funny. So I played Cyberpunk before I played Shadowrun, and in fact, the group that I first started playing Cyberpunk with was my first out of high school role playing group, who actually introduced me to the Cyberpunk genre. And the two people that sort of like the two brothers that formed that group were really anti Shadowrun because they were so pro Cyberpunk. Like Shadowrun to them was a pale imitation of the game that they played first and loved the most. So a lot of that early days for me in gaming was putting shit on how crap Shadowrun must be. And then when I was getting into BattleTech, obviously at the time Farsa owned BattleTech and they also owned Shadowrun. And I picked up the Shadowrun novels, like the series of 3 that was like Never Deal with a Dragon, Choose Enemies Carefully, and Find Your Own Truth. And that got me into the sort of like the lore of Shadowrun. And I've just been surprised, like going to conventions now, both here and in the US, like Shadowrun seems to have a much larger active following than Cyberpunk. But then again, Cyberpunk really hasn't had anything
I
new
think that's
for it
because
for
Cyberpunk just went
20 years.
dark for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it like turned around a little bit. Maybe not so much because the video game, as like it's a serviceable game. It's just we all know the controversy behind it, all the overpromising, underdelivering, whatever.
Honestly, I think Cyberpunk has a much better livelihood in it if it does mixed media rather than just focusing on interactive media. Like imagine if they had like a TV show or something like that based on it. Like you could do some varied like Game of Thrones sort of adult.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to what Studio Trigger
that.
does with the anime that they announced. Cyberpunk.
See, that's what I mean. Like Cyberpunk, it will expand itself on mixed media for sure, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And like honestly, I could like I don't know. I mean, think of like Cyberpunk, but like a turn-based RPG or something like that, like what they did with Shadowrun. Like, there's definitely a lot of systems that really work well for miniature gameplay in Cyberpunk, I say.
Did everyone play Shadowrun Returns?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the sequel.
I played Returns. What was the one with the dragon?
Dragonfall.
And then I kickstarted Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine that, but with Cyberpunk. I think the system for, especially how the combat works really good for miniature-based gameplay. And I don't think you'd need to change a whole lot to make that work. And in fact, it's probably a more
digestible.
You'd probably be able to do like a lot more interesting things. There was also that. What was that other Cyberpunk game? And EA made a first-person shooter out of it, and no one played it. Fuck, what was it called?
Divine Technomancy?
No, dude.
That's the only Cyberpunk shooter I know of. I'm sorry, Dave.
And the original game had 4 dudes in like a little like unit, and they like walk around like a cube or whatever. Fuck, what was that game called?
Syndicate.
Syndicate.
Damn, that's a callback. I would not have called that a Cyberpunk game, but okay.
Are you kidding me? That's a fucking incredible Cyberpunk game.
It was like derived from Blade Runner originally. That the sort of the style of it.
Actually, I think the first Cyberpunk game I ever played was Deus Ex.
Yeah, I mean, Syndicate is less cyberpunk and more science fiction. I guess. All right, I'll let you have this one.
There's also the whole question of what is cyberpunk, because like even Cyberpunk 2077, I don't think if you're like of the school that it's Neuromancer, then I don't think Cyberpunk 2077 is.
Well, I mean, if the book is to be believed, Cyberpunk, or at least Mike Pondsmith, determines Cyberpunk to be about the mentality of the people playing the game and it's sort of like rebellious nature against like the conglomerate industry and the machine.
Need to get Eric Kokaris on here for his speech. Too many people emphasize the cyber in Cyberpunk and not the punk in Cyberpunk, which is where the series actually is about.
Well, it's also wrapped up in like synthwave culture where it's more about aesthetics than
it's very fashion oriented.
Style over substance.
But that is the essence of Cyberpunk, is that attitude matters more than material goods, because you're never going to have it all. But what you can have is a persona.
People don't read further than style over substance. They don't think behind like why.
Because nothing matters. Because we need to get Tucker down to that facility somewhere in the middle of Mexico to rescue the Mona Lisa. That's why.
So since you mentioned miniatures, Dave, or that sort of not minis, but like the turn-based game, did anyone ever see the game Shadowrun Duels? That was like a miniature. It was around the time that things like Hero Clicks was popular. So it was like a Hero Click style game, but it had 1/12 scale painted figures. So like you're talking like a 6 or 7 inch action figure on a base with rules for doing this, like, runner versus runner combat at this very large scale. But they were actually like fully posable action figures with like swappable guns and everything.
I'm looking at the art for this right now. They look like look like action men almost. It's very strange looking.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots, except for
I'll be honest, James, when you said the name of the thing, I thought it was like a Shadowrun version of Bejeweled, and it would be like a match 3 with like a very small storyline to be like, okay, well now we're gonna do the run match 3 in order to hack the boss.
Hey,
Okay,
that's
so
all
we
I
went
get-
in a
that's-
different direction. It was still bad. Anytime I hear hero clicks, I think bad.
That's
but
right. That's it. Hey, look, hey, my entire Facebook is just ads for match 3 games at the moment.
yeah,
You're still using Facebook in 2021? You're a brave man.
I'm over 40.
Okay, so that is your social media now, right? Like,
he's
Yeah,
Gen
that's right.
X, man. He's not a millennial like
Yes.
some of us.
I don't understand these Instagams or whatever they're called.
Legs on demand.
Yeah.
you guys heard of the TikTok?
TikToks, yeah.
The TikTok.
That's right.
You got
the only reason TikTok is good is
That's
because
right.
it's the new Vine. That's really the only reason it's good.
Yeah, that's right. I'll stick with my IRC. Thanks very much.
Oh no,
Damn.
you got to get Pigeon to get all of your IRC clients in one location and AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
Dude, that single word of pigeon, and I just had 15 years of flashback just like back into my brain.
Yeah, I used.
I love
used
Pigeon.
I used Merc and Trillion.
Yeah, Trillion. I use Trillion.
Wow,
Yeah.
Trillion. All right.
I just
Father
had
time.
MSN.
Back in the days when Cyberpunk was still the future,
Yeah.
and not a historical RPG.
Yeah.
Or for history.
I was just gonna say, like, with all the delays we're having and having the next episode, we're actually going to advance time in real life past where the show is at. So the show will have to catch up to us again. We're in the future again, baby.
It'll
By
be
like
a
4
regular D&D.
days.
Then it'll be like a regular D&D game. This is past shit.
No, I don't know that there is such a thing as a regular D&D game.
I don't know if I told you before. My wife has asked me to run. She's found 2 people at her work that, one of which has role played once before and wants to try it again, and one person who's heard of it and wants to try it. She's like, "Oh, you can run a D&D game for my work friends." I'm like, "Great, you're pimping me out to a bunch of nurses who want to try Dungeons and Dragons."
Yeah, I got roped into that once, and
Cleric.
I did. I had the issue specifically of when that happened to me of being like, okay, so I've put together this entire thing. Here you go, let's play. And it was just like the most incredibly awkward experience I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm never going to do that again until I know that these people have an idea of what this is, because someone told them about it. And then they had an idea of what it was, and I was completely wrong. And it was like, well, what did you think this was? Like,
The
So
first time I played D&D, I rolled dice to walk forward. So
Did you play with Neil?
no one told me anything different. So I'm like, I'm just gonna walk over there. Do I need to roll for this? I'm gonna roll anyway.
But I got to tell a story from yesterday. Yesterday I had to have my kids like parent teacher interview, like where you go to the school and you talk to the teacher about how your kids are doing.
Ooh.
And because we've got 3 kids and we have to do all 3 of them, we have to take the kids with us. And they were just the teachers give them stuff to do in the classroom, like toys to play with while you have a chat. And in one of the classrooms, the teacher gave the kids like a box of dice that was like one of those sort of sectioned out toolboxes that had different dice in it, which included like 20-sided dice, that sort of thing. And my daughter brought like a couple of dice over to the table. And my wife was saying, "Oh, here, roll the D20 or roll the D12." And I could totally tell that my wife was calling it D20 or D12 to try and detect whether the teacher responded to her using geek terminology and therefore outed herself as also a nerd. That was totally the reason she was saying it, was to try and out the teacher.
Yep.
The teacher.
but the teacher never reveals her power level. Like
That's right. Yeah.
The
Never
teacher grabs
fall into them.
the teacher grabs 2d6s and throws them at you.
In the
'cause it-
teacher's mind, she's basically like, look, I'm already in 3 games a week right now. I can't handle anymore, so I'm not even going to respond to this shit.
Reaches for the D100s, the Warhammer person.
Someone just asked me if I wanted to start running a Dark Heresy game, and I was like, that's a lot of D100s to add to my life. Yeah. What do you think, James? Would you play in a Dark Heresy game?
I played and played before.
But would you play in a Dark Heresy game run by me?
Oh yeah, you know, you're a good GM, Arthur. I have
it's a D100 system.
Yeah. I don't. You are one of the better GMs I've had as a
thank you.
in terms of as an experienced
so sad
GM.
that you've had such low quality GMs in your life. Then
hey,
low bar.
I can say I've had a GM fall asleep while running a game in the middle of the narrating a scene. He bored himself to sleep. So
this is the best $1 burger I've ever had.
Wow, that's awesome.
And as I said, my day-to-day group just voted the member out. So I've had plenty of times good games have gone bad, but you, Arthur, especially, and I've said this to you before, but when you ran Wrath and Glory for me, you took on the difficulty of running a game where one of the players knows more about both the system and the scene than you do.
Two of the players.
Two of the players. Yeah, that's true. Still made it, a compelling game and didn't offend anybody's sensibilities about what they. Okay, sorry.
I appreciate you trying this one, James, but I'd say that you're wrong because I have a YouTube video about it.
Yeah, sorry, didn't offend my sensibilities.
Okay. Oh God, that was almost a year ago now. Wow.
Yep.
I still get comments like every week or so about people being pissed off about my Warhammer 40k campaign.
Wow. Mostly I get comments about people pissed off about the first 10 episodes of Battletech.
To be fair though, we literally made an entire mockery out of everything people hold dear about Warhammer 40k. Like we turned it into a giant running gag, basically. We just completely ignored the rules and just used the setting to do whatever the fuck we wanted. And it was
yeah, you mirror shaded it.
And that's the thing, is like you can do that where you can say, hey, this game is a parody of itself. And there will still be people who come in and hear you say this game is a parody and still get the shits when, it doesn't go.
There are female space marines and people are like, that's it. I'm in the hospital. I had a stroke.
No, it was
you just lost 3 subs right there, Arthur. Just straight away.
Just saying those words in combination.
That's right. YouTube has an algorithm, that automatically detects that and detaches people from your show that will become violent because you said it.
The thing that pissed people off the most was that I played what is it, the people that do the astro telepathy thing, or astropaths. Yeah,
Psycho.
So, and I was like, oh, can I just make it like a barbershop quartet? Like, and the GM was like, fuck yeah, that sounds great. So we just had this fucking choir of like barbershop quartets singing astropaths. It was, people fucking hated it.
Yeah, I too I've run a White Wolf game before where the players decided to all play as a barbershop quartet. That wasn't a long campaign. I think we played 3 sessions and then we were done with it. But it was fun while it lasted.
I've been trying to get a barbershop quartet going on my shows for 6 years.
Welcome to the Warp Cat Cafe. This is the Warhammer Magical Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, we came so close to having Warhammer Magical Girls in Wrath and Glory.
Dude.
Someone was like, I dare you to do something with orcs, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do orcs because of their power of belief. They're gonna believe that these magical sticks that they're holding make them magical girls, and they'll gain even more warp power. And they were like, don't do it. You'd be insane to do it. And I'm like, yes, I would be insane to do that.
The challenge is still on the table, Arthur, for me to do a made Warhammer RPG.
Is that right?
Emperor Senpai.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
I was thinking it's going to be like a bunch of people simping to an Inquisitor or something
made
like that.
RPG. Oh.
Pure astrologian. Did you guys hear that the Astartes guy got?
Yeah, he got hired, right?
With,
he's now official.
Yes. It's funny because there's a running joke going on now because a lot of people have backlashed against that. You know, like
He doesn't have the creativity to work within the space anymore. It has to get
and there's all these people saying like, oh, there were literally like online petitions set up to make Games Workshop, offer this guy something. But now they haven't. He's accepted. Oh, he's a sellout. And it's the Games Workshop is going to ruin this like they ruin everything else.
That's exactly what people want out of this. We want him to sell out. Now that he's official, he can change the company from the inside.
I thought the main controversy was he had to take down his YouTube videos and had to host them with Games Workshop somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
No,
Doesn't matter.
Games
People
Workshop
always
just
accuse you of
needs to
selling
make
out.
needs to make a Netflix show out of his videos.
Well, they hired like 3 or 4 community 3D short people. So
I've always said
it looks like like he has removed the videos from his YouTube channel, but they are still there's still plenty of places replicated on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, I remember there was a girl that used to draw the Eagle Ordinary comic that Games Workshop hired to do all the artwork for all their news posts, and she kept doing it. She didn't keep doing the comic itself, but the comic had already sort of slowed to a snail's pace anyway. And her artwork is still just as good and adds more to the communications they do. So
I don't know what's happening with that guy's Patreon, because he was funding his whole Stardew thing with Patreon money.
Yeah.
So whether he had to close that down too or what.
Patreon is not a sales platform. Patreon is a platform for people who want to support a creator to do what they want.
That's what they were doing, but I'm wondering if he had to stop because.
What I'm saying is anyone who wants to like bitch and moan about him selling out and not supporting his patrons, it's like, well, no, it's the other way around. The patrons are
he didn't sell out, he bought in.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Oh my god! I'm still on Board Game Geek right now, and I just realized that they're making a Stardew Valley board game.
They're not making it; it's already out. It's sold out, actually.
I just saw that. Man, Andrew has done some fucking great shit with that game. Like, he went from being published, making the publisher like millions of dollars, to cutting himself loose of them and then releasing a multiplayer update by him fucking self. Oh my god, the guy did real good. Yeah, he's set for life. Like, imagine making one game and then just like, yep, I don't have to do anything else for the rest of my life.
Minecraft. That happened.
Oh Jesus! Talk about giving a microphone to a mook.
Yeah.
Look, if you had billions of dollars and all you had to do was sit on Twitter for the rest of your life, you'd probably have some crazy shit to say too.
I have crazy shit to say now. I still don't go anywhere near as far as Notch. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, there's something about money makes you dumb, because look at Elon Musk.
Well, it's not just money. It's like having a platform too. Like, imagine going from not having a platform to just being like, I could literally influence people to buy stocks. Well,
I mean, Penny Arcade had the whole formula, which was audience plus anonymity equals total fuckwad. Presumably, audience plus lots of money potentially has a similar effect.
Well, I mean, that kind of has like the untouchable effect, right? Where you have the what do they call it? The trifecta of like being untouchable by most people. Like, lawyers wouldn't be able to fuck with you too easily, and the fact that you have a platform to voice, or a soapbox to voice your terrible opinions on.
Yeah. There's also
maybe one day you'll be the president.
I think it was Patrick Rothfuss who said this, but then Hank Green made it popular. Like, your personal mech suit. Like, no matter how popular you get, you don't see your mech suit, but like some internet rando is like screaming at this giant mech, but you see them screaming in your face, so you just take a swing back, and suddenly your 3 billion followers crush this person into a pulp.
I saw the conversation on Arthur's Discord this week about vampires, and I think at some point the conversation moved towards like how would the government handle vampires, and I remember thinking at the time,
vampires.
Is if vampires are as rich as they make out in the games, and they won't have a problem with the government. That won't be a problem at all.
Yeah. like literally, like the whole point of like vampires is that they're long lasting, so they got their fucking fingers in every which way, so you wouldn't even know that they exist, right? Like that's the whole
It's
point.
a rough time for vampires, though, right? I mean, not just the internet, but the savings rate for interest is now less than inflation for one of the first times in histories. It's rough keeping track of your $100 billion of gold bullion that you've been stashing away since you took that Spanish Armada ship.
In quarantine, like feeding's got to be a bitch.
Yeah. I guess it wouldn't really matter if you're Von Craftula or something.
Especially because you have to be invited into people's houses. So.
Oh yeah, that's rough.
Like and like you could maybe be like an Uber Eats driver, but like then they have that courtesy, like you're not allowed near the door when you drop off the food and shit, right?
Just send out a whole bunch of phishing emails.
I was gonna say Uber. Why Uber Eats when you can be Uber and turn it into Uber Eats, right?
Yeah.
You just mesmerize your passenger, take a little sip on the neck.
Get them to leave a 5-star driver review.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
You reminded me, Drummer, that in one of the old vampire books, there's like they had these sort of sections about how to play a vampire in the world, and one of the things was talking about how when you go to a new city to try and find the vampire community, and it said that taking out an ad which says, you know, newly arrived Camarilla vampire looking for others might attract some attention. You know, by the same token, putting strange man seeks other might attract the wrong kind of attention.
Well, I mean, you know, you suck enough strangers and you'll eventually find a vampire, right?
Jesus, Dave. Meanwhile, Gleemo, what can we jump to?
I don't know that I'm any help because I'm running a low-grade fever.
Okay,
so.
yeah. All right, we'll wrap up here. Just like you should be. If you're no, never mind. Drummer boy, what do you got?
I'm Drummer Boy. I make music. You already know that. You know where to find it too on Spotify, and then also Sunset. SONNESET is on Spotify. It's the collab with a local buddy. Kind of a mixed bag, but there's some cool stuff in there. Nerd or Die stuff's happening. Trace is already out. The new voice UI update should be happening very soon. Finished the Star Wars tune today for Roll20, so I'll be on to Gleemo's Solaris entrance music very soon, probably next week.
I can't get this guy he's always busy, and yet somehow Gleemo snuck in to get music for my shows.
Well, you just messaged me on Discord like, hey, you got a minute? I'm like, yeah, I guess. It's 30 seconds. I'm like, I could probably knock that out pretty quick.
Okay.
Anyway, and then I'm just doing a lot of synth work, and then waiting on my camera. Once that arrives, then I'm gonna do a test stream and see if I can do a little synthy ambient jam. Might be doing those on a semi-regular basis from an hour or so, sporadically, just for fun, you know. So you can follow me on Twitter and Twitch to see when that'll happen, if that happens. Who's next?
Dave.
Hi. Sorry I was late. No one reminded the person that has a terrible memory about time zones, so that's on you.
I did ping in the Discord, but I didn't tag you.
I said on Saturday. I told you Saturday.
Look, man, I have a terrible memory. Like it's literally a condition I have. I think I don't know. It might be a condition. Who knows? But I can't remember shit past 3 days. Like seriously, it's a big problem. Like I literally. I'll have a conversation with my wife and she'll be like, yeah, I know you told me already like 5 times. I'm like, oh.
What, you should tattoo notes on yourself like in Memento.
Yeah, it's not a mouth-based video game, right? Like, yeah. Did you get that one, Arthur? Do you know that
No,
joke?
I didn't get it. I don't get it. It just sounds so fucking weird, man. I'm sorry.
You know, okay. The guy from Childish Gambino, before he was on Community, he had a YouTube series called The Whitest Kids You Know, which had this joke about Memento in it, which I'll have to link it to you. I'll see if I can find it. It's fucking hilarious. It's probably one of my favorite things he's ever done. I'm surprised no one got that reference, but that's okay. But anyway, yeah.
A long
what was
time
I
since
saying?
I watched The Whitest Kids You Know.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I've just been working. I've been literally writing a bunch of scripts because we're taking pieces of my heart and we're adding in like a whole like dating dialogue tree to the game now. So basically I'm getting like $2,000 worth of vocal recordings added to the game. About 400 to 500 words per girl. And there's like 15, 16 girls in the game now. So it's like,
It's a lot of work.
yeah, it's getting there, but you know, it's one of those things. And I've just been working real hard, you know, like, so I just, sometimes this timing shit just forgets me. Now, next week, is the timing going to fix up next week? How does this work? I
When
always
does
forget
the
that
time
other shit.
change in Poland? Is it the end of the month?
I don't fucking know, man.
Because
I think
that's where it matters.
Daylight.
Yeah, I think it's last weekend of the month.
I remember hearing, okay, March 28th. Okay. And it goes back an hour. Is that what happened? Or forward
Ahead an hour.
Yeah. Annoying. Okay, so next week I'll have to wake up earlier. Joy. Okay. But yeah, that's me.
Next
Go
week, the week after.
and the whatever. It's confusing already. I'm just gonna stop.
We've already lost Dave.
We'll send a reminder next week.
Cheers. Appreciate it.
You know, speaking of people who have strict schedules, Grimdark James.
I have a moderately strict schedule.
Yeah.
I'm Grimdark James. You will find me here on Saturday for some more Rogue Trader, and back again here next week for some more Cyberpunk. Otherwise, I hang around Arthur's Discord. I have a YouTube channel too, which is pretty quiet right now, and also a podcast which is on permanent hiatus while I work on a new show. Otherwise, thanks for coming along and listening to us rant about crap and shit in general.
You know, speaking of someone who rants about crap and shit in general, Blimo.
Do I rant that much?
No, you know how these things go? You just have
No,
to
I know,
take
I
what's
just-
delivered to you.
Okay.
It's pretty rare that it lines
hey,
up.
Like crap and shit.
I'm the reason that we had a talk show tonight instead of a Cyberpunk game. Sorry for that. I got my second Moderna shot yesterday, and I'm a little loopy and a little feverish, but it's way better than the alternative. So, other than that, I guess you get a double shot of Glimo next Wednesday because my Solaris Night should drop in the morning, and then I'll be
Right.
back here to play Cyberpunk in the evening.
Okay, all right.
And otherwise, I've got a Valheim server, so you know, pop in Arthur's Valheim channel for the deets
So
on
be
that.
sure to come back and wish Arthur a happy Glimo Day.
Just a pained look
Yep.
at that thought.
Don't worry. I'm just altering who your opponent is for next week's Solaris Nights match.
Someone hack
no.
AP's phone and leave him a event reminder. Happy Glimo Day.
Please do not hack my phone. You will find all of my fake Grand Order. So I take pictures every time something significant happens to share with the fake Grand Order crew, and I basically never share them, so I have to rollingly delete them. My iCloud is constantly like, your phone is 75% full, and I'm like, which one of these can I destroy? Which one of my heroes hitting level 100 isn't significant to me anymore? You hack my phone, you're gonna download millions.
What you should do, okay, dump them from your phone to a folder on your computer.
Yeah. I already had such a folder. I deleted it.
Find one of those websites that makes travel books. Make a coffee table book out of all your fucking FGO.
I think I'll pass this point.
I do have a simple with Arthur where my phone reports it's almost full, and I go and look at it and find my daughter's picked up and taken 5,000 selfies 2 inches from her own face.
Yeah.
So when my wife originally started, like, she loves to have like me take photos of her. So I got frustrated with it. So I ended up just doing like switching it to the front facing camera, just taking photos of myself. Well, She doesn't ask me to do that anyway.
What the fuck, Dave?
My
That's
phone
horrible. You realize that story is terrible, right?
It's not that bad.
My phone is all full of grocery lists from my sticky notes I leave on my fridge.
I email myself my grocery list. I went grocery shopping a day with an email list.
Damn.
That's
My
like
phone
a
is
galaxy
apparently
brain.
full of pictures that I've been posting to Arthur's cooking channel.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You, listen, at first you were like, "Here's 1 or 2 pictures," and then you were like, "This is how we make saltimbocca from scratch, students. Here's 3 angled pictures just to make sure you get a good view of what that gray loaf looks like." Oh wow, Glimo went 100% on that. All right, got anything else, Glimo?
Saltimbocca, apparently.
Yeah. We'll be back next week or not, depending on if we remember to wrangle Dave or not.
But it's 3 days is our limit. We've got to let him know within 3 days of the show.
Yeah,
Sure.
or just the day before, or whatever.
I think day before will work. I don't know about 3 days. 3 days didn't really work last time. That's it.
Might be.
Thanks for joining us, friends. Have a good night.